Welcome back to Farm Truck Financial Season 2 in our new studio. Today, we're not going to be talking about retirement planning as much as restoring classic cars. Right here. Stay tuned.
Farm Truck Financial, we're riding.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to Season 2 of Farm Truck Financial. I am super excited to be here today. We are in the new studio, not quite done yet, but good enough to actually shoot some new content for you guys. So today, what we're going to be doing is actually going over some more lifestyle stuff. So we have been requested, hey, what do we actually do in retirement? What do we do prior to retirement? What can we do that's fun? So for all you car guys that are out there, this is something that we've been wanting to do for quite some time, is actually the 72 GMC Jimmy. We told you guys that in the beginning, during the restoration, we're going to be going through the whole entire build. We're going to show and document the restoration, and we quite frankly did a horrible job with that. Now that it's done, we kind of want to go through what we did with this, why we did it, how we picked it, and the process that we actually put you through. So what happens is in your retirement, a lot of guys are tied to cars, trucks, motorcycles, whatever it may be. It takes us way back in time. Maybe it was a road trip. Maybe it was different experiences, our first job. Maybe it was with some girls. Whenever we see that vehicle, it reminded us of a different time. So this is really no different. There's a lot of times where I'm getting fuel in this thing and I'm at the gas station and somebody will come up to me and they're like, wow, I love that truck. This is what I had. And then they tell me their entire story about it. And I think that that's the fun part. Again, it's taking us back to a different time in our life where all of a sudden, maybe we were growing, we were starting a family, we're just trying to figure life out, but that vehicle was always there. And that was kind of our freedom back then. What I want to do is go through the process of what we did to actually put this vehicle together. Processes and methods are a lot like financial planning. It's a lot like getting ready for retirement. So when we go through this, I want to show you guys how we were organized. We actually were well planned. We got a lot of stuff ready for this build so that it actually went easier. In the end, actually the whole restoration went pretty smooth. That's how we want your retirement to be. When you actually do any kind of strategic financial planning, it is not to react to problems, it's to reduce the severity of problems before they become a real issue. And I think by planning all of this, we did a great job. As we went through the process, it actually made it more fun and significantly easier. So, how did we actually choose this particular vehicle? I always look for something that has future desirability. We all know that the whole classic car industry is changing a little bit, right? The baby boomers are getting older, so there is a little bit less interest in these cars, but if the car is desirable, has this massive interest. So you have to be very careful if you are going to either buy or restore a car that you find something that has future desirability. So this was really important for me. I do have an attachment to these vehicles from when I was a child. Sam Siniska was a buddy of mine who had a blue one in our neighborhood, and I always rode in this thing. So I have a lot of memories that are actually tied to this vehicle, and I just love the look and feel of it. When I went through this, how do you decide what to build, what to buy, how to purchase it? You can find a lot of trucks in the Northeast that have been through salt, dirt, mud, and are just rust buckets. So I really took my time to find this one. It came from Phoenix, Arizona, super dry area. And let me tell you something, this thing was super clean. So the nice thing about this was it still retains its original quarters, doors, and front fenders. Obviously, the hood is different. The tailgate was swapped out. All this chrome up here is aftermarket. But when you see that when we strip this thing down to bare metal, it actually retains the original rear quarters, which is super cool. So what happens is you're going to pay a little bit more money for something like this up front. Why? Because when you put it in the body shop, you don't have to swap out the fenders. You don't have to do all that welding, all that body filler. So really, when you spend a little bit more on this, you actually end up with a significantly better product. The other thing is the desirability or the rarity of this. So in 1969 to 1972, Chevy Blazer which is the GMC Jimmy's brother. In 1972, they made 44,000 units of the Chevy Blazer. GMC did a horrible job at their record keeping and figured they made between 4,000 and 6,000 GMC Jimmys in 72, which makes this significantly more rare and also has the super cool dual headlights. So this is one of the reasons that I chose to do this. If you're going to do a full restoration, you're better off finding something that's a little more rare and a little more desirable.
You know who has one of the toughest retirements? Procrastinators. You keep telling yourself, yeah, I'm going to get to that. But after months turn into years, you realize that time is one investment you can't buy back. The earlier you start, the longer your money works for you. The best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is right now. Call us today for a complimentary review of your finances. 800-779-1942 or visit myIncomePlan.com.
That was the first part of the process, is really finding the vehicle that you want to restore or actually own. So a lot of times you want to buy something that's already done, or you actually want to go through the restoration process. Either way, sometimes the hunt for that vehicle is one of the most fun parts. So the next part is strategy. Now that I've got this vehicle, how do I actually go through this? A lot of us want to buy a vehicle, bring it in the garage, rip it all apart, and then all of a sudden it's ripped apart and we really don't know what to do. We actually get overwhelmed, and that's where that project stalls. But if you actually have a process in place and you have a goal, you can now start to break that down. It really is no different than your retirement plan. And I want to go through something that we actually use in the retirement planning world that would be helpful to you if you were to do a restoration like this. So let's break down 3 parts of any strategy. Number 1 is an identifiable goal. The identifiable goal helps you to understand what you're trying to accomplish. Number 2 is the method to attain that goal. And number 3, applying the competencies and resources to be able to sustain that strategy. Let's go over the identifiable goal. What are we trying to do? What are we trying to look at down the road that we actually want to achieve? With this vehicle, I wanted something that I could drive. I wanted it to be safe, reliable. I wanted to put a lot of miles on it, which I already have, and I'm very happy with the way that it turned out. But I also wanted to modernize it. So while this truck looks like a 1972 GMC Jimmy, you can see the headlights, they're LED headlights. I've upgraded the suspension, wheels, tires. The whole drivetrain is completely modern. I didn't want a trailer queen. I wanted to drive this thing. If it got a rock chip here and there, I really didn't care. It's not a SEMA vehicle. It's not a Grand National Roadster show. It doesn't have a $25,000 paint job, but it can certainly hold its own at a Cars and Coffee, and it turned out absolutely beautiful. The objective that I wanted was completed. But again, I had that identifiable goal there, and I understood what I wanted to do with this. The second thing is we actually want to make sure that we can get to that strategy. So again, if we take a look at the method to attain that goal, you have to figure out how you're actually going to get there. So there are a lot of restoration shops out there, just like there's a lot of financial advisors out there, but they're all not the same. We've all heard horror stories of you hire a restoration shop, the car goes in, it either sits in the backyard for a year or sits in the corner and just rots while they work on all this other stuff. So I finally found a restoration shop that I could work with. I did a lot of the restoration myself on the smaller parts. This is something that I like to do outside of my financial planning practice because it kind of works my brains in a different way. And again, I like trying to build something. So that was kind of like my hobby on the side, but I also had to pick and choose what I could actually do and what I couldn't do. And then the things that I couldn't do, I let the restoration shop pick up all the heavy work. So it's just like in your retirement, you can work your budget, you can work how much you're spending, but then you let your advisor and the financial planning department really do all the heavy lifting. That's the important part, is the method to attain that goal. How am I actually going to get there? And the one big thing that I did was early on, I knew that we were eventually going to separate the body from the frame. And so I realized that all the frame parts, the drivetrain, the brakes, the fuel lines, all the gears that are in it, the axle, the rear gas tank, everything that was needed for that frame really needed to be ordered up front. Now, I will tell you this, we did have a little supply and demand issue years back, if you can remember, so it was very difficult finding a lot of parts for this truck. So sourcing them sometimes was very difficult. The more I did up front, the easier that restoration became. There was actually another Ford F-250 that was in the garage the same time that this was being built, and that car had already been in there 3 months prior to mine. So I got to know the gentleman in the restoration shop that owned the F-250, and when he would come in and check on his build, he'd be like, "Hey Eric, why is yours so much more ahead of mine? Mine's been here longer." It's because I had outsourced all my parts, I had lined up everything, and there really was no delay in installing these pieces. Consistently forecasting for what we actually needed, it's really no different in your retirement. And lastly, what we want to go over is applying the competencies and resources to be able to sustain the strategy. I wanted to make sure that the restoration shop was more than competent to actually fulfill my desire for this build. And so these guys were great, everything from the beginning to the end. Restoration is not easy, neither is retirement planning. When I look back and I think about the entire process, it was actually a good process and it was fun. But there was also a lot of preparation that went into it. And in the end, it produced a good product.
Do you have questions and concerns about your money, lifestyle, and retirement? Investors today worry about living expenses, healthcare costs, inflation, and stock market volatility. Instead of worrying, start planning. Eric Kearney and his team at Retirement Wealth Advisors want to sit down, get to know you, and start to build a plan that matches your vision and goals. Call us and start planning today. 800-779-1942 or visit myIncomePlan.com.
Lastly, you really want to make sure that whoever you are working with is more than competent of handling your situation. So with this truck, there was a lot of time, effort, money spent on this, and I wanted to make sure that the restoration shop that I worked with communicated with me. I knew about their processes, their procedures. What would we do if we went through a difficult time? What were my expected time frames? What were my real expectations? And so a lot of that was communicated up front, and I actually had a really good feeling with this restoration shop. They did a fantastic job on this. And again, as I look back on it, it was a favorable experience that I had. The same thing that you want to have with your financial planner, your CPA, or even your lawyer. You want to know that they're going to be there for you in difficult times. You're going to put together that plan. You're going to be forecasting and looking ahead and saying, look, not all the time is going to be easy. There are going to be difficult times, and I need you to be there when that happens. Let's actually take a good look at this vehicle right now. As you take a look at it, you notice the paint. The paint is actually the original color, and it is called ochre. When it was stripped down to bare metal, we actually considered every color out there, but then we went back to this original color, which is like a bright, almost gold. And so then we actually considered Porsche Bahama Yellow, which is a really cool paint color that Porsche puts out. And then also Land Rover had a 50th anniversary yellow that we considered on this as well. And we kept going back to ochre. So the one thing that you have to realize is that when you build something like this, you build it for you. You don't build it for other people. So we see a lot of things online where somebody builds a car and they'll say, hey, this is my new build. And somebody will say, I wouldn't have painted it that color. I wouldn't put those wheels on. Who cares? You built it for yourself. I built it for me. So like I said, we could have painted this any color, but in my small little car collection, I really don't have anything that stands out like this. So I actually like the color. And I like the fact that the GMC Jimmy is so rare that the ochre actually matches that too. So let's take a look at a few things on this truck. Next up is the suspension and tires. Obviously, we wanted a more aggressive look, so we did lift this up a little bit, and I did have some help from Hogan Built out of Phoenix, Arizona with these power steps. These things are absolutely amazing and very helpful. So as you open up the door, these automatically deploy, have lights on underneath, and is a fantastic upgrade to this actual truck. The interior does also have some great upgrades. The vintage AC, the digital gauges, and the seats and interior are a collaboration between my buddy Stefan and TMI Products. I was actually able to find this fabric and then use this throughout the truck, and Stefan actually helped me with this, and then TMI actually completed the seats. And I think both companies did a fantastic job. And as far as the drivetrain goes, I wasn't cool enough at the time to actually get my hands on an LS. I wasn't on the list. Nobody was returning my calls. So at that time, because supply and demand was a huge thing, I ended up getting a 383 stroker motor, carbureted, and at this time, it has actually been a great motor, more than enough power. The only thing I might do to this thing is put fuel injection on it, but other than that, it is done. So that's about it on the 72 GMC Jimmy. We are glad that we were able to wrap this up, kind of take you through the whole restoration part, but also help you understand how processes, procedures, forecasting, and any strategy planning can help you either in your retirement planning or restoring an old car. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show today, and we'll see you on the back roads of retirement.
Thanks for riding along with us today. We hope you got some good dirt. If you liked today's show, subscribe, like, and share with all your farm truck friends. We hope you'll join us for the next ride on Farm Truck Financial, where we're always planting seeds for a better future, 1 mile, $1 at a time.
Farm Truck Financial, we're riding with you down the back road steady.